Hello, it is Saturday, January 11th, 2025. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Saturday crossword today, which means we're going to be solving a themeless puzzle, a tricky puzzle, very possibly the trickiest of the week. And this tricky themeless edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Overfull Hitbox, Jake Rodkin, and, as always, the indomitable Showmaster, the indefinable Charlie Paget, and the inexplicable Chris Ward. Thank you so much to the 5 of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for their generous support. They do, of course, sustain this channel, keep us going day by day, and for that, I'm very grateful. If you would like to support the channel the way that they do, you can head to patreon.com/dailysolve or click the description field link underneath the video. And you'll find there the bonus videos available to patrons, such as this week's mini puzzle pseudo speed solve and this month's January bonus puzzle from the New York Times. And those 5 I mentioned are benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, and they and others like them will also receive the Daily Solve Let's Check the Crosses official mug. Thank you so much to those 5 and to everybody who supports the channel via Patreon. I really do appreciate it. It does keep this thing going. And thanks as well if you subscribe on YouTube, which is a big help. You can simply click to subscribe to the channel, see notifications about these videos more easily, and it does help grow it. And finally, you can join the Daily Solve Discord chat server, which is a nice friendly chat community linked in the description field. All right, let's get on to today's crossword by Ryan McCarty, who's constructed a few dozen puzzles for the New York Times. It's a Saturday themeless puzzle. Could well be a tough one. We'll find out soon enough. It was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. Let's start solving. Get an engine going is to what? Rev it up would work, but that doesn't quite work. Get an engine going, to ignite or to start up. Number 2's, e.g.'s, assistants or aids or seconds, maybe. Seconds would actually fit. It would fit, but let's see. Cost efficient. Cost efficient is, if this were an E, it could be cost efficient. Okay, I don't actually know. Jargon heard at Comic-Con or in a D&D game humorously. Nerd speak maybe? That wouldn't work with seconds, but let's try it and see. Contralto singer known as the First Lady of Radio. I have no idea about that, to be honest with you. Some sweet pick-me-ups. Some sweet pick-me-ups. I don't know. I mean, what do I think that would mean? Do I think that would mean some kind of caffeinated candy or something? I don't know actually what that would be. Bit of Sweeney Todd fare. A pie, right? Okay. Yes, that show involves sorted pies being sold. Okay, professional squatters are reps or no? I'm wondering if it means squats in the sense of the exercise. Professional squatters, as opposed to someone living kind of illicitly in a home. The reason I say that is because there's a question mark suggesting punniness, so it wouldn't necessarily be using the obvious sense of the word first. Hips maybe? But that's not really, there's something really professional about that. Okay, get an engine going. Cost efficient. All right, I'm going to keep chaining off nerd speak because that might be fruitful. Many early wines. What does that mean? Does that mean early in the sense of ancient, like in the classical or ancient world? Rosés? I don't know anything about the history of wine, really, to be honest, but it probably ends with an S. Well, no, I guess it doesn't need to be. It could be something, an adjective could end with an IC or something, but probably will end with an S. River featured in the Rig Veda. What would that be? That's probably a river in India based on the Rig Veda. That's probably a Hindu text or something. I hope I've not just said something deeply idiotic. So anyway, it could be the Indus, which would work with this ending in S, which is what I want it to do. Let's see. Now I have 2 bits of speculation in parallel. We'll see if that helps or hinders me. Bypassing play. A something out? Is it a play like in a game? Like a move you'd make in a sport or something? I don't know. Bypassing play, like a fake out or something, but obviously not that. Common format for, this is tricky so far, at least for me, this corner has been. I think yesterday, the same corner was also tricky for me. Common format for an essay, informally. Something doc, a Word doc, a document created in the Microsoft Word software. I think that's probably the answer. And that confirms, or at least doesn't disconfirm, doesn't disprove these two. Blank fly. Okay, good. I recognize this. Sack fly, sacrifice fly. I honestly couldn't tell you exactly what this is in baseball, but I've heard the phrase. So there's something. Locale of Niue and the Pitcairn Islands. Oceania. There we go. That's what it'll be. Yes. Okay, good. And then what about this? Pride Parade participant. Question mark. So it doesn't, you might see that and you think pride in the sense of, Pride Month, but no, it isn't that, because this question mark is suggesting something punny. So I think it means a pride of lions. So perhaps they're parading around. Okay, number twos, e.g., are vassals? No. What is that? Number twos, e.g. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Specially trained teams are, I don't know, bypassing play. Oh, I was had a bit of momentum there, and now I've dropped it. This could still be rosés. Seems a bit odd, but maybe. Get an engine. Oh, maybe not startup, but power up. That looks plausible. And so, number two, pencils. Yes, okay. That is what is that exactly? Is that a kind of, what, a kind of diameter and maybe hardness of lead or something? I actually don't know what number two in sort of North American pencils defines exactly. But anyway, it's some kind of standard pencil used in schools and things. Cost efficient. Economic? Yeah, there we go. You could say, that's a good sort of economic purchase, you could say in a way. Okay, so then an end run is a bypass. I've heard that phrase. That's probably in kind of NFL context, I would think. And specially trained teams could be cadres. Okay, so many early wines are rosés. All right. Okay, well, there we go. That turned out to be right just because I didn't have any reason for saying that other than that it would fit in the space, which it does, but fortunately it turned out to be correct. Okay, so some sweet pick-me-ups are, maybe it is caffeine something. Caffeine candy? Yeah, I think that's right. My instinct was correct. Well, at least it could be correct. It feels like it probably is. Tubular. So there's a kind of slightly dated bit of slang. It could be fab. That's totally tubular. It's fab. It's groovy, maybe. So who is the contralto singer known as the First Lady of Radio? I don't know. Could be Kate or Katie, somebody. I don't know. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Publicly criticizes is blasts, maybe? That's not long enough. Yeah, I'm not sure. Fruit-filled loaf. Like a fruitcake, but not that. What would a fruit... like a panettone or something? What would this be? I don't know. This could be wrong. I don't know. Let's move up to this corner. Incurs an extra service charge, perhaps. Incurs an extra service charge. Probably ends with an S. One taken for a ride. Could be a fare in a taxi. Could be, what would this be? One taken for a ride. And obviously it could mean someone who's taken for a ride in the sense of they're conned, but I'm guessing it's going to be less straightforward than that. I don't know. Georges Bizet, habanera composer. So that's the composer Georges Bizet, probably best known for Carmen. Okay, recurring role for Kate McKinnon on SNL. I don't know offhand. Recurring role for Kate. Who might this be with a B in the middle? I don't know. Okay, extractor used on some seeds and nuts. Oil something? Oil press? Yeah, that would make sense. Get oil out of various seeds and nuts. So incurs an extra service charge, perhaps. An extra service charge, perhaps. Sort of you misuse something that you've rented, or you go over the allotted time, or what would it be? I don't know. I can't think. Their petals are used to make a traditional Korean wine called dokyeonju. Azaleas? I mean, just in terms of a plant that would fit, that seems plausible. So it could well be. Movement in the Nutcracker. Oh, a plie. So the Nutcracker is a ballet, of course, Tchaikovsky ballet. So the plie would be a common move. All right. So turnpike feature would be so turnpike. So that's basically what is a turnpike? It's sort of a motorway on which you have to pay. That's basically what it is, I think. Is that right? I could be wrong about that. I should know that, but I think that's what it is. It's it's got a toll, I think. So what would this be then? Clearing. A glade, right? So in a forest or something. Oh, the recurring role for Kate McKinnon on SNL must be RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. There we go. And we abbreviate her name to RBG. We see that because we've abbreviated Saturday Night Live to SNL. That actually didn't occur to me when I first read the clue, but that's an intentional way that the clue is written in order to give you that information. Okay, incurs an extra. Oh, roams. I see. It's dealing with a cellular, mobile phone service provider. You roam. And I never even quite know what's going on there. Is that if you're sort of outside of the coverage area of your own provider, and therefore you need to use the kind of cell towers of a different provider, and they charge you for that? It must be something like that. I'm not actually sure. Anyway, turnpike feature is median. Oh, okay. So maybe it's not. Maybe the turnpike doesn't necessarily mean that there's a fee, but there is a median because it's kind of like a dual carriage motorway or something. It's separated by a median. Okay, one taken for a ride would be a steed, so you could ride on a horse. And then a fruit-filled loaf is something bread, clearly. And why do I not know what that is immediately? I don't know. Publicly criticizes would be berates. Maybe that's what it is. That's not necessarily public, though. That doesn't intrinsically mean public, so I'm not necessarily convinced by that. Feature of the United States Capitol. What, a big dome, maybe? The Capitol building? I don't know. Own up. You own up to something. You come clean. No. Oh, maybe this isn't caffeine. This has got to become clean. Wow, after all that. Okay. I made a point about saying that my guess was correct, but I don't think it is. Because to own up to something is to come clean about it. So does that help with this? They act as one. They act as one. Probably ends with an S because it says they, so it's plural. Antarctic explorer for whom a sea is named. Oh. I know this and I can't think. That's frustrating. I know that. I do know this. Okay, well, whatever. Attachments for speakers are amplifiers. I don't really know. No, that doesn't fit. Tuners or receivers, maybe in a stereo system, maybe. They act as one. Blurs. Is this not bread? No, maybe receivers must be wrong. Publicly criticizes. Don't know. That probably should be obvious, but I'm just not seeing it. Contralto singer. It does look like Kate, doesn't it? Fruit-filled loaf. Date bread? Like bread with dates in it? I mean, that's a fruit. What is going on with this? Some sweet pick-me-ups. Maybe that's wrong. Tubular. Oh, it's not fab, it's rad. And you know what? It did occur to me when I was putting in fab, I was thinking that is kind of a different era because fab is more of a 60s or 70s bit of slang, whereas tubular is much more 80s and 90s. And that did occur to me, but I just didn't really think about it very much. But rad is much more in keeping with tubular. Those would both be kind of 80s and 90s slang. And so this could be a caramel something, but I was totally wrong about the caffeine thing. Some sweet pick-me-ups, caramel coffees? Is that something? No. Caramel lattes or something, maybe? Is that? Yeah, that sounds like it could be a thing. Caramel latte, probably. Okay, so contralto say, oh, right, okay, that's just that person, I don't know. Publicly criticizes, decries. Yes, that's to publicly criticize something. Okay, so after all that, I had some poor guesses that I left in the grid much too long, but we're going to get there eventually. Antarctic, Ross. Is that it? That sounds right. But we must need the full name, and that I don't know. Offhand, anyway. Okay, they act as one. Blobs. Yeah, people sometimes refer to a blob to refer to sort of an organization that, acts in a prescribed way. Attachments for speakers are. This I don't know. It could. Lapel mics. Oh, this isn't blobs. It's blocks. That's a much better answer. So yeah, like a block of voters, for instance. People just might describe this as maybe a single issue voting block who tend to vote in this particular way, for instance. Okay, so attachments for speakers are lapel mics. Yes, and that was what had helped me out with blocks. So speakers, not in the sense of a device that plays amplified sound, but rather someone orating, someone speaking aloud. And on a Saturday in particular, you really want to look out for that kind of thing. I mean, sometimes as we have in this puzzle, we'll have question mark pun indicators that suggest to you, I better think about different ways to read this. But sometimes we won't. And the reason for that, if you're wondering, well, why is there a question mark on Pride Parade participant and why is there not one on attachments for speakers? The reason is because Pride Parade is already a standardized common idiomatic phrase. So that's a phrase that has an established and sort of run-of-the-mill meaning that if you said this to someone, they would think, oh, Pride Parade, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Whereas attachments for speakers, I mean, that's a combination of words that makes perfect sense in English, but it isn't in and of itself an idiomatic phrase. It's just a collection of words with a meaning that you might be more likely to think of a certain way first. But it isn't as a unit an idiomatic phrase. And so when we're doing this kind of misdirection punniness around a very clearly established idiomatic phrase, that's when the question mark comes in. It doesn't need to be the entire clue that's the phrase. It could be just a component of it, like here, Pride Parade. But that's why that's going on. So not having the question mark doesn't mean that we aren't going to have that punniness or misdirection as we did here. Anyway, okay, so feature of the United States Capitol, it is a dome, a domed roof maybe. So maybe it's simple as that. Blatant deceptions are, naked lies. There we go, that's correct, I think. And then Antarctic, James Ross, that sounds right. Antarctic Explorer, okay. And then Kate Smith, do I even know who this is? Maybe I don't. And then, I mean, it might not be right, but it looks pretty plausible. Monarchs are some kind of rats or monarchs. E.g. butterflies, or what could this be? What other sorts of monarchs are there? Emiratis? No. They'd be emirs anyway. Simple house style with gables. Oh, a Cape Cod? Is that? I think that's a style of house. Oh, autocrats. Yes, okay. So a monarch would be an autocratic ruler, sort of top-down sort of style of rule. Okay. Track star Inga Britson, who at age 16 became the youngest person in history to run a sub 4-minute mile. Looks like Jakob, maybe. And then setting for balloon darts or a ring toss. a fair booth, maybe? Like games at a fair. Peace Dude. Oh, no, it isn't that. But anyway, Peace Dude is later bro, probably, in 3 letters there. And then music genre for Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit. I know this because it was in the Connections the other day. There was this funny category in the Connections word game, which I also solve on this channel, in which there were 4 words. What were they? They were Lincoln, spelled Lincoln, biscuit, spelled like the baked treat. What else was there? Stained, spelled like something that's had wine spilled on it. And what was the other one? I don't know. I'm not going. I know what it was. I think it was corn, spelled like the food. And the idea was these are all misspellings or homophones of words from new metal bands, and it was spelled this way, NU. So there we go. These were 2 of them. All right, and I did not figure that one out. Setting for balloon darts or a ring toss. A game booth, I guess. It could be at a fair, I suppose. Small juice container. Right, okay. So here we have another case of a pun indicator with a question mark. And it means juice in the sense of power, like a battery. So probably AA cell battery. I think that probably is what this is. A smallish container of juice. Taiwanese electronics brand, Acer. They make laptops and things. First of 4 emperors in the year of the 4 emperors. Right. Okay. This was a bit in Roman history. Who is this? Galba, something like that. There's absolutely no way I would have remembered this off the top of my head without the crosses. But I could still be wrong. Let's see. Make way for. Oh, maybe not. Make way for let be? I don't know if that's right. It seems a bit odd to make way for someone, to let them be. That doesn't sound right. Siren call. It could be a blare, so that bit could be right. Okay is to allow someone would be to okay them, to allow them to do it. I'll okay it. Not them, but the thing. I'll allow it. I'll okay it. That works. Material for Robin Hood's bow. Oh, a yew bow. I do know that yew wood was. Oh, it's not let be, it's let buy. To make way for someone is to let them buy. Sorry, that's actually pretty obvious. So this is Galba. There we go. Okay, good. And then they believe the radical notion that women are people, per Marie Scheer. By the way, I've been not immersed really, but I've been, had Roman history more sort of on the mind recently than I might ordinarily, because I've been watching I, Claudius, which is a great adaptation of the Robert Graves novel that aired on the BBC in the 1970s, and it's absolutely fantastic. And the thing that has been the most fun about it is that Brian Blessed as Augustus, who was sort of the first proper Roman emperor after the really ending of the Republic, is just absolutely unbelievable. He's incredibly good. And it's a real shame when, for necessary historic reasons, his character stops being on the show. But boy, he's incredibly fun to watch. It's been one of the most entertaining performances, and I mean, in a good way, like really great acting. But anyway, he's very fun to watch. Brian Blessed as Augustus. Anyway, they believe the radical notion that women are people, per Marie Scheer, feminists. Certainly heard that quote before. Well, that works. I don't know. Certain workplace protection, ? I don't know. I'm not sure offhand. Something, no, I don't know. Hits the weights, say, works out or pumps it? No. Hits the weights, say, pumps up? I don't know. To the stars in Latin is ad astra, which is a motto of various organizations and polities. Debriefed. I don't know. The question mark makes it seem like made something longer. In other words, did the opposite of shortened it, but I don't know. Jester named in a Shakespeare soliloquy. Oh, I'm not sure offhand. Jester. I know who it is. It's Yorick in Hamlet. Sorry, I was trying to think of just like little bits of Shakespeare that just get tossed around a lot. And it's when Hamlet says, "Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio," or something to that effect. So that's who it is. Okay, so Baby Yoda, who's the character from that Star Wars show a couple of years ago. And then television star who went on the legally prohibited from being funny on television tour in 2010. I don't know. Who might that be? Television star. Oh, I bet I do know what this is. I bet it is Conan O'Brien, and I bet this was related to his whole saga around, what was it, inheriting, was it Jay Leno's kind of hosting of one of those late night shows, and then he got pulled off of it, and there was a whole thing around it. I think that probably is what this is. Okay, and then he had this period of a couple of years where he was in a kind of weird limbo. Stack in an ice cream shop is a what? A stack of cones, I guess. They're all stacked up on top of one another. It's lit! Exclamation point. Could be what? A wick, maybe, of a candle or something? The exclamation point often means this is something that we're declaring about the thing in question rather than being a synonym of it or defining it. So that's what's going on there. Lothlorien in The Lord of the Rings, e.g. Also, wick could be wrong, by the way, because I don't have any strong ideas about this. Lothlorien, I don't know what I think that is. I don't know. I have no idea. Well, that works. Here's another exclamation point. Okay, I think wick might be wrong. This just looks like a disaster around here. Okay, hits the weight, say, open for drinks. Open for drinks. Bar? Why would that be open for drinks? A maw? But that would be something that you do open for drinks. It wouldn't mean open for drinks. Debriefed. Could end with an ed, because it does say debriefed, as though it's past tense or an adjective. Well, that works. Something cure? A sinecure? Why would that be? Why would you say, well, that works about it? Something care? Well, that works. It's probably something cure or care, but I don't know, maybe something core, actually. I guess I don't know. I don't have any idea. Certain worse, and something pad. So, a certain workplace protection, a desk pad, I guess, maybe for your wrists or elbows or something. That's probably the case. Result of a downpour, perhaps. Oh, I didn't see this clue before. Result of a mud. The dirt gets wet. Well, that works. Sure cure is something that it must work because, tautologically, it's said to be sure, although maybe it doesn't. It's lit is a fire. That's even more straightforward than wick. I don't know why that didn't occur to me as well. Lothlorien. Oh, it must be a forest. Lothlorien. Okay, that I don't know it offhand, but there we go. That must be right. Hits the weights. Say tones up, like you sort of get muscle tone, and then open for drinks. A tab. So is this a kind of double meaning where a tab could be used to, the thing that I thought first was a tab in the sense of opening a tab at a bar, but it could also be like a pull tab on a can. And then debrief. Oh, no, it isn't that. No, it's not. It's tap. Oh, right. That makes more sense. Because I was thinking, describing a tab as open for drinks, you'd almost need an exclamation point and phrase it as something like open it for drinks or something, because you're saying it about the answer, which is what I just explained with my first initially wrong guess about it's lit, although that principle still applies. A fire is lit, so we're saying it about the fire. But in this case, open for drinks literally means the same thing as tap. If you tap a keg or something. If you tap something, you're actually putting in a spigot that is opening the thing for drinks to come out of it. So that is actually correct. And then debriefed is pantsed, as in removed someone's briefs or their pants. You literally debriefed them. So there we go. All right, well, there we go. Well, that was a bit of a tricky Saturday for me anyway. But also I did put in some extra explanations of things. I hope those are useful. Let me know if you find that kind of thing helpful. I never know how much I'm repeating myself, but obviously, for any given video, there are going to be a lot of people seeing it who have never seen it before and or never watched very much of this series, and therefore may not have heard the last time I explained these sorts of things about exclamation points or question marks or what have you. So yeah, there we go. Hopefully that was helpful. That felt like a very good Saturday crossword to me. It was tricky. It had kind of Friday-ish punniness, but was challenging at a Saturday level, I think anyway. Let me know if you disagree. I mean, this could well have been a walk in the park for some. But I had to, actually, I guess in my case, I had to revisit a number of early guesses several times. That was redundant what I just said, but yeah, I had to, what were some examples of that? Right, I thought this caramel lattes, I thought this was going to start with caffeine, and I thought maybe caffeine candy. That was wrong. Rad I had as fab. I think I had something over here that was incorrect maybe initially. So that really did, and that can be a tough thing. It is good to remember that if you've put something in the grid before it was heavily crossed, there's a absolute reasonable likelihood that it's wrong and could just happen to have been of the same length as the correct answer. So it's worth being a bit flexible about things you've put in the grid if you weren't already highly crossed when they went in there. Anyway, that was the Saturday crossword. I'll wrap this up because it's been a long video already, but I'll be back tomorrow for the even longer, probably, Sunday crossword. Themed shouldn't be as tricky as this. Join me for that, but until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Saturday. Take care.